You know that feeling when you finally win? Like, you've been grinding for months, maybe years, chasing that promotion, that number, that validation from others. And it happens. You get the job, the follower count, the applause. But then, there's this weird silence inside. Like, is this it? You're not alone. This isn't just modern burnout. Taoist philosophers from ancient China, Laozi, Zhuangzi, Liezi, they saw this trap coming from miles away. They called it the trap of success. And here's the paradox, the more you chase winning, the emptier it gets. Think about it. When you climb a mountain, the summit's great, but the view's gone in a minute. What if the real journey wasn't about reaching the top at all? Let's explore why winning feels hollow and what Taoism says about breaking free. Imagine you've been saving for years to buy a luxury car. You finally get it, drive it home, and the next day, the thrill fades. You start worrying about scratches, insurance, and maintenance. The car becomes a burden. That's the trap. Or consider a student who studies obsessively for an exam, gets an A, and then feels a void because they define their entire worth by that grade. Taoism says this emptiness is a clue, a sign that you've been chasing a mirage. The ancient Chinese understood that true fulfillment isn't in the destination but in the journey. Laozi wrote in the Tao Te Ching, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. In other words, the real prize can't be captured or owned. It's a flow, not a trophy. So when you feel that hollow silence after a win, pause. Ask yourself, what was I really seeking? Often, it's connection, peace, or purpose, things no achievement can give. The trap is mistaking the symbol for the substance. We'll dive deeper into how Taoist texts reveal this paradox and offer a way out. Here's the thing. Success is a story we're told from day one. Work hard, achieve, and you'll be happy. But Taoism flips that script. Laozi, in the Tao Te Ching, says, the sage does not accumulate for himself. The more he gives to others, the more he has. Wait, what? That's the opposite of winning. Success, in our world, is about accumulating money, status, power. But Laozi's saying true wealth comes from letting go. Why does this matter? Because the trap of success is that it's never enough. You get one thing, and your brain immediately wants the next. It's like drinking salt water to quench thirst. You feel full for a second, then more parched. Zhuangzi tells a story about a man who spent years mastering archery to win a contest. He trained day and night, obsessed over perfection. On the day of the competition, he shot perfectly, and felt nothing but exhaustion. The joy was in the practice, the flow, not the prize. But he'd forgotten that. Ever noticed how a hobby you love becomes a chore when you try to monetize it? That's the trap. Success turns passion into performance, and performance drains the life out of it. Let me share a personal example. I used to love writing poetry. It was a private joy, a way to express my soul. Then I decided to publish a book and become a successful poet. Suddenly, every word had to be marketable. I worried about reviews and sales. The joy evaporated. I had turned my art into a transaction. Laozi's wisdom is clear, he who knows he has enough is rich. But our culture teaches us that enough is never enough. We're like hamsters on a wheel. The Taoist solution isn't to stop running but to see that the wheel is an illusion. When you detach from the outcome, you can engage fully in the process. That's where the real richness lies. Imagine a painter who paints for the love of color, not for a gallery. That painter is free. The one who paints for fame is a slave. So the next time you achieve something, check your inner state. If you feel empty, it's a signal to shift your focus from accumulation to experience. Now, let's get to the source text that reveals something shocking. Liezi, a lesser-known Taoist text, has this wild story about a man named Lord Yuan. He was obsessed with becoming the greatest charioteer in the kingdom. He studied techniques, trained horses, and won every race. But one day, a sage asked him, "Why do you race?" Lord Yuan said, "To be the best." The sage replied, "Then you are a slave to your horses." Think about that. The man thought he was in control, but his desire for winning controlled him. He couldn't stop even if he wanted to. The text goes on, "He who rides the chariot of success is never the driver." Shocking, right? We think we're chasing success, but success is chasing us. It's a treadmill that never stops. Chuangzi adds another layer: happiness is the absence of striving for happiness. When you're constantly trying to win, you're never present. You're always in the future, imagining the victory, or in the past, regretting losses. The present moment, where life actually happens, gets skipped. So the source text reveals that success, as we define it, is a form of self-imprisonment. You build the cage with your own achievements. Let me elaborate on Lord Yuan's story. After winning countless races, he felt a deep emptiness. He had everything: fame, wealth, recognition, but nothing inside. The sage's question forced him to confront his motivation. He realized that his identity was entirely wrapped up in being the best. Without that label, he felt worthless. This is the trap. We become addicted to external validation. Liezi also tells a story about a man who was so focused on becoming a master archer that he forgot why he started. He could hit a target from 100 paces, but he had lost the joy of archery. The target became an obsession, not a game. This is a metaphor for modern life. We set goals, career milestones, financial targets, social media metrics, and we become slaves to them. The goal owns us. Taoism says, reverse the relationship. Let the goal serve you, not the other way around. The sage in Lord Yuan's story didn't say, "Stop racing." He said, "Race without attachment. Race for the joy of the ride, not for the trophy." That's the key. When you detach from the outcome, you're free to experience the present moment fully. And that's where life happens. Let's break down what this means. Taoism isn't saying don't achieve anything. That's a common misunderstanding. It's saying, don't identify with your achievements. The trap is when your sense of self-worth depends on winning. In the Tao Te Ching, Laozi says, know when to stop. Know when you have enough. This is lasting. But we've been trained to never stop. Enough is a dirty word in success culture. Here's the practical breakdown. The Taoist concept of Wu Wei, effortless action, is key. It's not laziness, it's doing things without attachment to the outcome. You work hard, but you're not desperate. You play the game, but you're not defined by the score. There's a story in the Zhuangzi about a master butcher. He cuts meat effortlessly, his knife never dulls. When asked his secret, he says, I don't look at the meat. I feel the spaces between the bones. He's not trying to win, he's just flowing with the task. The result is mastery without obsession. For us, this means pursuing goals with passion but not clinging to them. If you get the promotion, great. If you don't, you're still whole. The emptiness of winning comes from thinking the win is the source of fulfillment. It's not. The source is the process, the growth, the connection. Success is just a byproduct. Let's apply Wu Wei to a modern scenario. Imagine you're an entrepreneur launching a startup. The typical approach is to obsess over funding, valuations, and exit strategies. But Wu Wei says, focus on creating value, serving customers, and enjoying the work. The money and success will follow naturally, but they won't define you. I've seen this in practice. A friend started a small bakery because she loved baking. She didn't care about being the biggest or the best. She just made delicious bread and connected with her community. Within a year, she had a loyal following and a thriving business. But she remained humble and joyful. She wasn't trapped by success because she never made success her goal. Her goal was the act of baking itself. That's Wu Wei in action. Another example, a software developer I know used to work 80-hour weeks to climb the corporate ladder. He got promoted, but felt miserable. He quit to work on open-source projects he was passionate about. He earns less money but feels more fulfilled. He's not winning by conventional standards, but he's winning at life. Taoism says, align your actions with your true nature, not with society's expectations. That's the path to lasting contentment. Real-world examples? Think about athletes. Michael Jordan won 6 NBA championships, but he said the joy was in the pursuit, not the rings. Or consider entrepreneurs who sell their companies for millions and then feel lost. They miss the struggle, the team, the daily grind. That's the trap. The win is a snapshot, the journey is the movie. I've seen this in my own life. I once worked like crazy to get a certain number of subscribers. When I hit it, I felt a brief thrill, then immediately worried about the next milestone. It was exhausting. Then I read Zhuangzi's Butterfly Dream, where he questions if he's a man dreaming of a butterfly or a butterfly dreaming of a man. That story hit me. What if my identity as a successful YouTuber was just a dream? What if I was already free, just by letting go of that label? I started focusing on making videos I loved, not ones that would win. And you know what? The emptiness faded. Not because I stopped caring, but because I stopped needing the outcome. Another example, a friend who's a musician. He spent years chasing a record deal. When he got one, the label controlled everything, his sound, his image. He felt trapped. He eventually left, started his own indie label, and now makes music for the joy of it. He's less successful by industry standards, but way happier. Let me share another story. There's a famous case of a lottery winner who won millions and within 5 years was bankrupt and depressed. The money didn't bring happiness, it amplified his problems. Taoism would say he was never truly rich because he didn't know how to be content with what he had. Contrast that with a monk who owns nothing but radiates peace. The monk has mastered the art of letting go. He's not anti-success, he's beyond success. He's aligned with the Tao. In our daily lives, we can practice this by setting intentions instead of goals. An intention is a direction, a goal is a destination. For example, instead of I will get a promotion this year, say I intend to grow my skills and contribute value at work. The promotion may or may not come, but the growth is guaranteed. This shift removes the anxiety of outcome and opens the door to joy in the process. Another practical tip, after achieving something, take a moment to savor the experience before moving to the next goal. Most people rush from one win to the next, never pausing to appreciate. Taoism says, be present. The present moment is the only place where life is actually lived. So after a win, breathe. Feel the gratitude. Then let it go. Don't cling to the memory or the label. Be like a mirror, reflect the success, but don't hold it. So here's your takeaway from this Taoist deep dive. First, recognize the trap. When you achieve something and feel empty, that's a signal, not a failure. It's your soul saying, you've been chasing the wrong thing. Second, practice detachment. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply about the process, not the prize. Laozi says, the highest virtue is not virtuous. Meaning, true goodness is effortless, not performed for reward. Apply that to success, do your best, but don't attach your identity to the result. Third, redefine winning. For Taoism, winning is alignment with the Tao, the natural flow of life. It's about being present, connected, and content. That might mean saying no to a promotion that would chain you to a desk. Or choosing a creative project that feeds your soul over one that feeds your bank account. Fourth, embrace the paradox. Success is a trap only if you believe it's the answer. It's not. The answer is in the moments between wins, the quiet mornings, the conversations, the small joys. Liezi says, the perfect man uses his mind like a mirror. It grasps nothing, refuses nothing. It receives but does not keep. Be a mirror for success. Let it come, let it go. Don't hold on. Because the moment you grasp it, you lose it. And that's the real victory, not winning, but being free from the need to win. Thanks for hanging out. If this resonated, you know what to do. And remember, the path is the destination. Let me leave you with a final thought. Imagine you're at the end of your life, looking back. What will matter? The trophies on your shelf or the love you shared? The numbers on your bank account or the moments of laughter? Taoism says the latter. So live now as if that perspective is already yours. Be present. Be free. And let success be a visitor, not a resident. That's the Taoist way.